You were being asked about Ron DeSantis' approach to the indoctrination of children in schools with sexual talk and gender talk and so on. And he's basically said with the, misnamed Don't Say Gay bill, we're not having that. We're not going to talk about sexuality. We're not going to talk about gender ideology at the young grades. It was originally till third grade, and then the lawmakers down there expanded it through 12th. You said before that you would go further than DeSantis. What would you have done?
So I was saying prior to when it was only at third grade that I didn't think it went far enough. We should not be talking to our children. You should not have school bureaucrats talking to our children about gender, period. When I was in school, you didn't have sex ed until seventh grade. And even when you had it, you had to have a parent's permission for them to even be able to talk to you about that. And my parents wouldn't sign it. So I was the uncool kid in the classroom next door. This is not the job of schools to educate our kids on gender. That is what the parents should do. So what I was saying is he didn't go far enough when they did it in third grade. They shouldn't be talking about gender at all in schools. Let the parents handle that. Education should be about math, science, history, civics, those types of things. I mean, you can look at how our terrible education scores and realize the last thing we need to be talking about gender when you've got 67% of eighth graders prior to COVID that were not proficient in reading or math. You had 80+% 2 weeks ago that said they're not proficient in history or civics. And now last week, they say our 13-year-olds are at the lowest levels of reading and math that we've seen in decades. And you want to talk to them about gender? I mean, that's just not what American parents want. We have one job. That's not the job we want schools to do.
But what can we do? What can be done about that from the White House?
First of all, I think that, as president, what I will do is governors should have more control. And the best way to deal with it is presidents typically meet with their governors once a year. I will meet with our governors once a quarter, Republican and Democrat, with the sole goal of sending as much as we can down to the states when it comes to education, when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to benefits. I know as a governor that what I needed in South Carolina was different than what someone needed in Florida or New Hampshire or anything else. When we go and we allow the people to have better control, let the states decide these things. That way, you reduce the size of the Department of Education, you reduce the size of the federal government as a whole, and you empower the people. And, that's what we should be doing. What everybody doesn't realize, we still have 90% of our kids undergoing critical race theory, which if a little girl goes into kindergarten, if she's white, you're telling her she's bad. If she's brown or black, you're telling her she's never going to be good enough. She's always going to be a victim. These governors need to know you don't have to take that money. What the Department of Education says is, if you teach this, we'll give you this much money. If you teach critical race theory, we'll give you this much money. We will empower the governors to know, don't take the money. You don't have to do that. And let's block grant. Let's send them the funds down, because I think we need to put vocational classes back in our high schools so that we start building things again. Mm-hmm. The vocational classes in South Carolina, where we make a lot of things, is going to be very different than the vocational classes in another state. And so I'm all about empowering the people and empowering the states and reducing the size of the federal government and getting that power out of DC.
DeSantis has taken some political fire for the fight with Disney. Disney rose up in response to this law and said, we're going to fight it. We're going to try to get it reversed. We're going to march. We're going to do all these things. And then he got into this battle where he's trying to change the tax laws, and it's ongoing between DeSantis and Disney. A lot of Republicans love this because it just shows that he's willing to fight. They're sick of these woke corporations running roughshod over Republicans in particular, and certainly Republican lawmakers. You've said in the past you would have just picked up the phone and called Disney, that you're not particularly in favor of the way DeSantis has been handling it. But realistically, Disney wasn't going to back down in response to a phone call. They're under so much pressure from so many different constituencies to fight these fights. And that woke ideology has risen up from within and from outside, and their ESG scores and all of that. So, I mean, how honestly could a phone call have avoided this battle?
So it's not just that a phone call would have avoided the battle. I mean, what I am saying is, look, I agree with DeSantis on the fact that gender should not be talked about in schools. I've said that. I said when it was only in third grade, I didn't think it went far enough, and he needed to go further on that. I also know that Disney's been woke for a long time. They didn't wake up and suddenly become woke. I remember them hitting Trump on immigration, and they've hit on a lot of things. And we've got tons of woke companies. What I was saying is, as a governor, when I always partnered with my businesses, there were times my businesses they disagreed with me on things. I would go pick up the phone and I'd call them and say, look, this is where I am. I'm not moving. You can say what you want to say, but this is why, I think what I think. But I never believed in pressuring what they say, because they can do whatever they want to do. But I more importantly don't think you spend taxpayer dollars in a fight against a woke company. I think, I'm an accountant. I think taxpayer dollars should be spent making sure that we, do what government's supposed to do, which is just protect the rights and freedoms of the people, not be all things to all people. And I just think if he wants to get into a lawsuit back and forth using taxpayer dollars, he has the right to do that. It's just not what I would have done.
I want to tell you about the amazing extreme altitude wines from the Bonner Private Wine Partnership. These flavors go great with any hearty meal and meat that you are likely to have or serve. They're unlike any wine you've ever tasted. Blackberry, leather, smoke, little dark cherry. The wines are almost impossible to get on your own. The producers deep in the Andes Mountains make limited quantities. And now I have a great offer for you. If you visit bonnerprivatewines.com/MKS, that's BONNER privatewines.com/MKS, you'll not only get wine for over 50% off, 50, plus free shipping, you'll also get a bonus bottle of small batch limited production wine from their exclusive wine cellar. That's 4 bottles for the price of 3. It's a deal that is hard to turn down if you are a wine lover like I am. They've cut out the middleman too, so you're not going to pay a big markup. Just visit BONNER privatewines.com/MKS to claim your bonus bottle and become a part of America's most unique wine club. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.